Lately, Star Wars has had its ups and downs. With shows like the Cassian Andor series and The Mandalorian, it's hard to dispute that there are some great creative minds at Lucasfilm. Then there are others that split the Star Wars fandom. Shows like the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series have mixed reactions and they become a bitter topic of debate. I won't even mention the emotion that comes with the sequel trilogy. Yeah, this isn't about those movies anyway, just the shows. Most of us can agree about the first two Star Wars shows. I said most. But the second two, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and the Book of Boba Fett, are a different story. And while I do have my criticisms of both shows, I think both shows did some great things. And this isn't what you think. This is in no way a love letter to both of those shows, because both had some huge missed opportunities. For instance, the Book of Boba Fett should have been about Boba Fett, not Din Djarin, not Grogu, and certainly not Luke Skywalker. And if making Boba Fett a crime boss that committed no crimes seemed like a great idea, no, it wasn't. Strong, silent, and mysterious. That's what we liked about the original character. And in the Kenobi series, grown men stumbling over trees to catch a 9-year-old was just weird. But this isn't about the missteps. I think there are enough videos about that for all of you to enjoy. Instead, because I like to keep things positive, I will talk about certain aspects of the show that were done well. Is it enough to change your opinion on the shows? Probably not, but that's not what I'm here to do. First, we'll start with the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett was announced during an end credit scene at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. Fans lost their minds. I'm pretty sure we broke the internet with that one. After all, we just watched Boba Fett kick ass and take no names in The Mandalorian Season 2. We got to see most of his gadgets in use, and the way he took the throne from Big Fat Tuna, aka Bib Fortuna, was nothing short of brilliant. Finally, the Boba Fett we've been waiting for. The one we read about in the expanded universe. Not the Boba Fett nudged into the Sarlacc by a clumsy Han Solo. The real reason he was the most feared bounty hunter of his time. And we saw that fear in Bib Fortuna. More than a year later, we get, a Boba Fett that the Sarlacc must have fed very well. But with all the bad decisions that came with the show, there was one that added so much to Star Wars lore: the Tuskens. Since 1977, we had seen the Tusken as raiders. Think about the word raiders as I go through all this, and I'll come back to that word. We saw them as soulless savages who hated technology and anything that wasn't part of their group. They attacked Luke Skywalker in A New Hope for no reason at all. They captured and tortured Shmi Skywalker, mother to Anakin Skywalker, again, for no reason at all. And they camped out to take cheap shots at pod racers. One more time, for no reason. So we hated them, and were not upset when Anakin Skywalker killed a whole village of them in Attack of the Clones. We were more upset that Anakin was showing signs of turning to the dark side, as if we didn't see it coming. Let's also not forget that in Attack of the Clones, we got our first look at an entire Tusken tribe, where the women tended to the young and looked ornamentally different. But the Book of Boba Fett comes along and flips the way we see the Tuskens. By the way, it changed the way I view them so much that I refuse to call them Tusken Raiders anymore. Just Tuskens. Keep thinking of the word raider and put it into context of, say, the Norsemen who would raid in their Vikings. Yes, Viking is not what the people were called. It's what they did, just to clarify. But let's start with the tribe structure. In Attack of the Clones, as I mentioned, the women were depicted as the homemakers. And if we compare them to the First Nations people of the United States and Canada, that depiction wasn't necessarily bad, at least from the history we are taught and shown in cinema. But it's an outdated concept, even for a time when Attack of the Clones was released. And the Book of Boba Fett shows us a different view of that. Women of the Tusken tribes are now seen as some of the fiercest warriors, and I don't think anyone will dispute that. Okay, someone will. The warrior who taught Boba Fett the ways of the Tuskens was a woman, and she was a badass. So now our view of their social structure has changed a bit, and that's a good thing. And when we were shown that the Pikes had killed the Tuskens, who were we saddest about? The children and the female warrior. So I say good job to the creators for that bit. And now we get into the word raider and why I have stricken it from the Tuscans' vocabulary. The word raider is defined as a person who attacks an enemy in an enemy's territory, a marauder. Okay, so let's look at the Tuscans in that definition. We certainly see them attack Luke Skywalker, but was Luke in his own territory? Nope. What about Shmi Skywalker? Was she in her territory? Yes and no. She was on the land that her husband had claimed as his, but who had the land first? The Tuscans. It was their land that was taken from them. Yes, that made the Skywalker/Lars family enemies, and the meaning of the word raider holds a little bit of truth in this situation. But it was likely a Lars that created that friction by taking the land from the Tuscans and likely killing a few of them in the process. Then there's the Bunta Eve pod race. Were the Tuscans raiding anyone then? Were they attacking enemy territory? Nope. We aren't given the context of why they are there, only that they want to kill people for fun. So let's go back to the Book of Boba Fett. We see the Tuscans attacking a hover train owned by the Pike Syndicate, as the Pikes tour the countryside in a leisurely fashion. Oh wait, the Pikes begin shooting at the Tuscans before the Tuscans even know what's going on. And they're speeding through dangerously close to the Tuscan village. What do the Tuscans do? They fight back, as they should. This was their home long before it was claimed by Pikes, humans, Rhodians, or whatever. They aren't raiding the train. They're protecting their people and way of life. But this obviously isn't the first time. Something like this would put anyone on edge. So were the Tuscans in the wrong by attacking Luke Skywalker? Nope. They saw Luke as a threat, and he was encroaching on their territory, and being used to their land being taken and their people being killed, they reacted. The same can be said about shooting at pod racers. It's likely the race went through Tuscan territory, and had it not been for the Book of Boba Fett showing us the train scene, we likely would have continued seeing them as savages, because that was what we were being shown for the longest time. I just wish they would have made the Tuscan Jedi canon. Okay, the Jedi and his son who were adopted into the Tuscans. Okay, that was one thing the Book of Boba Fett did well. It changed our perspective and added so much to Star Wars lore involving the Tuscans. But what about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? How on earth can I say anything was good about that show? Okay, before I move on with that, a word from our sponsor, me. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up. Now, back to the video. Well, let's see. Actually, let's go to the beginning. When George Lucas got fed up with the fans attacking him and decided to retire from Star Wars, he sold the company to Disney in 2012. From that moment on, we were in high hopes that an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie was going to happen. There were actually rumors of Ewan McGregor returning as the fan favorite Jedi, and we were all stoked. But it was 7 years later that we finally got confirmation that Obi-Wan Kenobi was coming back. We were going to be getting in on Disney+. Again, we broke the internet. But that wasn't the only news. Hayden Christensen was going to reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker/Darth Vader. We double broke the internet. An actor who was hated for his stiff performance in the prequel trilogy was coming back. But this time, we were happy about it. But this meant that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader were likely to meet one another again. Speculations arose. How is this possible? Darth Vader was clear in A New Hope that when he left Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was still the learner. That means that they wouldn't have met once they parted ways in Revenge of the Sith, right? Not exactly. Let's go back a bit. When Obi-Wan Kenobi left Anakin to burn like someone not paying attention to their meat on a grill, Anakin was a full Jedi Knight. He wasn't Obi-Wan's learner anymore. Not Obi-Wan's learner. But he was someone else's newly acquired apprentice, Darth Sidious. So when Anakin Skywalker parted ways with the Jedi beliefs that Obi-Wan Kenobi held dear, Anakin was still the learner of evil. And when he tells Obi-Wan that now he is the master, he isn't saying he's Obi-Wan Kenobi's master, nor a master Jedi. He's saying he's a master of the Force. And Obi-Wan clarifies that to us by saying, only a master of evil, Darth. I must admit that was confusing to me for years, and I wondered how they could meet if Darth Vader had said he left when he was a learner. But when the Obi-Wan Kenobi series released, it clarified it. Darth Vader wasn't saying Anakin Skywalker was the learner. He was saying he, Darth Vader, was the learner. And now it made sense. But there's more to it. In Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader tells Luke Skywalker that Obi-Wan once thought as he did. Okay, the argument could be made that Obi-Wan tried to bring Anakin back before and after their duel on Mustafar. But did he really? Obi-Wan Kenobi went to Mustafar to kill Anakin. He even acknowledges that to Yoda before heading to Mustafar. So their duel wasn't about turning Anakin back. It was about the elimination of the former Jedi who Obi-Wan had watched kill younglings on security cameras. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi series did a great job of clarifying all that for me, and it put into deep perspective that Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader had become two people inhabiting the same body. But that's what I have. These two things were done well in the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, like them or hate them. But let me know in the comments what you think. Was there something else done well in these two shows? I'd love to see what you have to say about it. I do read all comments and try to respond to as many as I can. And now, another word from our sponsor, me. Hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. Also, join the channel as a member to see the exclusive stories I'm writing about Order 66 from different points of view. But that's all I have for today. Until the next time, this is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, and positivity in the Star Wars fandom is the only way.